Hello everyone and welcome back to Learn English with Podcasts. I'm Jack.
And I'm Emma. In today's episode, we're continuing our deep dive into the essential topic of biodiversity in ecosystems. We're going to explore new aspects and case studies to understand even better why biodiversity matters so much.
That's right, Emma. Biodiversity is crucial for the health and stability of our planet's ecosystems. Today, we'll examine specific roles of biodiversity, delve into conservation strategies, and highlight how different regions and communities are protecting their natural heritage.
Emma, let's begin with wetland ecosystems. Why are wetlands so important for biodiversity? Wetlands are incredibly important because they support a vast array of species and provide critical ecosystem services. They act as natural water filters, removing pollutants and sediments from water, and they serve as nurseries for many fish and bird species. Wetlands also store carbon, helping to mitigate climate change and protect against floods by absorbing excess water.
That sounds impressive. Can you give an example of a biodiverse wetland?
Sure. The Pantanal in South America is the world's largest tropical wetland, spanning Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay. It's home to an incredible diversity of wildlife, including jaguars, capybaras, and caimans. The Pantanal's wetlands support thousands of plant and animal species, making it one of the most biodiverse places on Earth.
Emma, deserts might not seem very biodiverse at first glance. How does biodiversity manifest in desert ecosystems?
Deserts, despite their harsh conditions, are surprisingly biodiverse. They are home to a variety of plants, animals, and microorganisms that have adapted to extreme temperatures and scarce water. Desert plants, like cacti and succulents, store water in their tissues, while animals, such as camels and fennec foxes, have adapted behaviors and physiologies to survive the arid environment.
Can you provide an example of a biodiverse desert?
The Namib Desert in southern Africa is a great example. It's one of the oldest deserts in the world and hosts unique species like the welwitschia plant, which can live for over 1,000 years, and the Namib desert beetle, which collects water from fog. These adaptations highlight the incredible resilience and diversity of desert life.
Emma, let's talk about mountain ecosystems. Why are they important for biodiversity? Mountain ecosystems are important because they support diverse habitats at different elevations, from lush valleys to alpine meadows. The varying climates and altitudes create niches for a wide range of species. Mountains are also critical for water supply, as they capture and store fresh water in glaciers and snowpacks. Can you give an example of a biodiverse mountain region?
The Himalayas are a prime example. They are home to unique species like the snow leopard, red panda, and Himalayan munal. The diverse plant life, including numerous medicinal plants, supports local communities. The Himalayas' biodiversity is crucial for the ecological health and cultural heritage of the region.
Emma, marine ecosystems are vast and diverse. How does biodiversity contribute to the health of our oceans?
Marine biodiversity is essential for the health of our oceans. Diverse marine species contribute to ecosystem services like oxygen production, carbon sequestration, and food provision. Coral reefs, for example, support a quarter of all marine species, despite covering only a small fraction of the ocean floor. Biodiversity also helps maintain the balance of marine food webs and supports the resilience of ocean ecosystems to environmental changes.
Can you provide an example of a biodiverse marine area?
The Coral Triangle in Southeast Asia is one of the most biodiverse marine areas in the world. It includes parts of Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste, and the Solomon Islands. The Coral Triangle is home to over 500 species of reef-building corals and thousands of fish species. Its biodiversity is crucial for the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on its resources.
Emma, we touched on ecosystem services in previous episodes. How does biodiversity support these services more specifically?
Biodiversity supports ecosystem services by enhancing the functionality and resilience of ecosystems. For example, diverse plant species improve soil health through various root structures and nutrient cycling processes. Pollinators, such as bees and butterflies, ensure the reproduction of many flowering plants, including crops. Predators control pest populations, reducing the need for chemical pesticides. These interactions among species help maintain ecosystem stability and productivity.
Can you give an example of an ecosystem service provided by biodiversity that benefits humans directly?
Certainly. Mangroves are a great example. They protect coastal communities from storm surges and erosion, support fisheries by providing nursery habitats for many marine species, and sequester large amounts of carbon. The biodiversity within mangrove ecosystems is directly linked to these critical services that benefit both the environment and human communities.
Emma, genetic diversity in agriculture seems crucial. Why is it so important?
Genetic diversity in agriculture is vital for food security and resilience to pests, diseases, and climate change. Diverse crop varieties and livestock breeds provide a buffer against threats. For example, some crop varieties may be resistant to a particular pest or disease, while others may tolerate drought or flooding. This diversity ensures that agriculture can adapt to changing conditions and continue to provide food.
Can you provide an example of how genetic diversity has helped in agriculture?
Yes, the Irish potato famine in the mid-19th century is a historical example of the dangers of low genetic diversity. The reliance on a single potato variety, which was susceptible to blight, led to catastrophic crop failure and widespread famine. Today, maintaining genetic diversity in crops and livestock is a priority to prevent such disasters and ensure sustainable food production.
Emma, we've discussed natural and rural ecosystems, but what about urban areas? How can cities promote biodiversity?
Cities can promote biodiversity by integrating green spaces, such as parks, gardens, green roofs, and urban forests. These green spaces provide habitats for wildlife and contribute to the well-being of urban residents. Urban biodiversity enhances air and water quality, reduces heat islands, and supports pollinators. Cities can also promote biodiversity by planting native species and creating wildlife corridors to connect fragmented habitats.
Are there any cities known for their efforts to enhance urban biodiversity?
Yes, Berlin, Germany, is a notable example. The city has numerous green spaces and initiatives to protect and enhance biodiversity. Berlin's Green Roofs initiative encourages the installation of vegetated roofs, providing habitats for plants and animals while improving insulation and reducing stormwater runoff. The city's commitment to biodiversity makes it a model for sustainable urban development.
Emma, how does biodiversity help mitigate climate change?
Biodiversity helps mitigate climate change through processes like carbon sequestration and storage. Forests, wetlands, grasslands, and marine ecosystems absorb and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Biodiverse ecosystems are more resilient to climate fluctuations and disturbances, helping maintain these critical functions. Protecting and restoring ecosystems with high carbon storage potential is an effective strategy for combating climate change.
Can you provide an example of an ecosystem that plays a significant role in climate change mitigation?
Peatlands are a great example. These wetland ecosystems store vast amounts of carbon in their waterlogged soils. Although they cover only about 3% of the Earth's land surface, peatlands contain twice as much carbon as all the world's forests combined. Protecting and restoring peatlands can significantly contribute to reducing atmospheric carbon dioxide levels.
Emma, we've mentioned the economic value of biodiversity. Can you elaborate on this?
Biodiversity has immense economic value through ecosystem services that support agriculture, fisheries, tourism, and pharmaceuticals. Healthy ecosystems reduce costs associated with environmental degradation and natural disasters. Biodiversity also contributes to economic stability by ensuring the availability of natural resources and services that industries and communities rely on.
Can you provide an example of the economic impact of biodiversity?
Yes, ecotourism is a significant source of revenue in many biodiverse regions. The Galapagos Islands, for example, attract tourists from around the world who come to see its unique wildlife and landscapes. Ecotourism generates income for local communities and funds conservation efforts. Protecting biodiversity ensures the sustainability of these economic benefits.
Emma, how does biodiversity impact human health?
Biodiversity impacts human health by providing medicines, clean air and water, and opportunities for recreation and mental well-being. Many medicines are derived from plants, animals, and microorganisms. Biodiverse ecosystems also help regulate disease by supporting predators that control disease-carrying organisms. Exposure to nature has been shown to reduce stress and improve mental health.
That's interesting. Can you provide a specific example?
Yes, the Pacific yew tree is the source of paclitaxel, a compound used in cancer treatments. This example highlights the importance of protecting biodiversity to ensure we continue to discover and benefit from natural sources of medicine. Additionally, natural environments like parks and forests offer recreational opportunities that enhance physical and mental health.
Emma, how is biodiversity linked to cultural heritage?
Biodiversity is deeply intertwined with cultural heritage. Many cultures have traditions, practices, and beliefs that are closely connected to the natural world. Biodiversity supports cultural identity, spiritual practices, and traditional knowledge systems. Protecting biodiversity also means preserving cultural heritage and the unique relationships between communities and their environments.
Can you give an example of a cultural practice linked to biodiversity?
Certainly. In many indigenous cultures, traditional ecological knowledge is passed down through generations. This knowledge includes sustainable land management practices, medicinal uses of plants, and understanding of local wildlife. For example, the Maasai people in East Africa have a deep knowledge of their environment, which guides their livestock grazing practices and conservation efforts.
Emma, education seems crucial for biodiversity conservation. How can it make a difference?
Education is vital for raising awareness about the importance of biodiversity and encouraging conservation actions. Environmental education programs in schools, public awareness campaigns, and community engagement initiatives can foster a sense of stewardship and responsibility for protecting biodiversity. Education also empowers individuals with the knowledge and skills needed to participate in conservation efforts.
Are there any successful educational programs focused on biodiversity?
Yes, the Jane Goodall Institute's Roots Shoots program is a great example. It engages young people in projects that promote environmental conservation, animal welfare, and community service. Through hands-on activities and education, the program inspires youth to take action and make a positive impact on biodiversity.
Emma, what do you think the future holds for biodiversity conservation?
The future of biodiversity conservation will depend on our collective efforts to address the underlying causes of biodiversity loss. This includes implementing sustainable land use practices, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and protecting natural habitats. Technological innovations, such as conservation drones and genetic research, can also play a role in monitoring and protecting biodiversity. Ultimately, a combination of science, policy, and community engagement will be essential for safeguarding biodiversity for future generations.
That sounds like a comprehensive approach. Are there any emerging trends in biodiversity conservation?
One emerging trend is the concept of rewilding, which involves restoring ecosystems to their natural state and reintroducing native species. Rewilding projects aim to increase biodiversity, improve ecosystem function, and create self-sustaining environments. Another trend is the use of citizen science, where the public contributes to biodiversity monitoring and research, helping to gather valuable data and raise awareness.
Emma, what can individuals do to support biodiversity in their daily lives?
There are many actions individuals can take to support biodiversity. Planting native species in gardens and yards provides habitats for local wildlife. Reducing the use of pesticides and herbicides helps protect pollinators and other beneficial organisms. Supporting sustainable products and practices, reducing waste, and conserving water also contribute to biodiversity conservation. Additionally, participating in local conservation efforts and advocating for policies that protect biodiversity can make a significant impact.
Those are great suggestions. Are there any specific actions related to consumption habits?
Yes, making sustainable food choices, such as eating a plant-based diet, choosing organic and locally sourced products, and reducing food waste, can support biodiversity. Avoiding products made from endangered species or unsustainable sources, such as certain types of seafood and tropical hardwoods, also helps protect biodiversity.
Emma, can you share more case studies of successful biodiversity conservation projects?
Certainly, Jack. The restoration of the Yellowstone ecosystem in the United States is a notable success story. The reintroduction of wolves in the 1990s has had far-reaching effects on the ecosystem. Wolves help control the populations of large herbivores like elk, which in turn allows vegetation to recover. This trophic cascade improved habitat conditions for many other species and restored the ecological balance of the park.
That's impressive. Do you have another example?
Yes, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park in Australia is another example. This protected area has been established to conserve the world's largest coral reef system. Through measures like regulating fishing, reducing pollution, and managing tourism, the park aims to protect the reef's biodiversity and resilience in the face of climate change.
Emma, how is technology aiding biodiversity conservation?
Technology plays a crucial role in biodiversity conservation by providing tools for monitoring, data collection, and analysis. Drones and satellite imagery allow researchers to monitor large and remote areas, track wildlife movements, and assess habitat changes. Genetic technologies, such as DNA barcoding and CRISPR, are used to study species diversity and enhance conservation efforts. Additionally, mobile apps and online platforms enable citizen science initiatives where the public can contribute to biodiversity monitoring and research.
That's fascinating. Can you give an example of a specific technology being used? Sure, the smart spatial monitoring and reporting tool software is widely used in protected areas around the world. It helps park rangers and conservationists collect data on wildlife sightings, poaching incidents, and habitat conditions. This information is used to make informed management decisions and improve the effectiveness of conservation efforts. Emma, what role do international agreements and organizations play in biodiversity conservation?
International agreements and organizations are essential for coordinating global efforts to protect biodiversity. Agreements like the Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD) set targets and provide frameworks for conservation actions. Organizations like the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) and the United Nations Environment Programme (UNEP) support research, policy development, and capacity building. These collaborative efforts help address biodiversity loss on a global scale and ensure that countries work together to protect our shared natural heritage.
Are there any specific international initiatives that have been successful?
Yes, the Global Environment Facility (GEF) is a successful international initiative that provides funding for projects aimed at addressing environmental issues, including biodiversity conservation. The GEF has supported thousands of projects in over 170 countries, helping to protect endangered species, restore habitats, and promote sustainable development.
Emma, let's focus on marine ecosystems. How important is biodiversity in our oceans?
Biodiversity in marine ecosystems is incredibly important. Oceans cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface and support a vast array of life forms. Marine biodiversity contributes to ecosystem services like oxygen production, carbon sequestration, and food provision. Healthy marine ecosystems also support coastal protection, tourism, and fisheries, which are vital for many communities.
What are some of the main threats to marine biodiversity?
Marine biodiversity faces several significant threats, including overfishing, pollution, habitat destruction, and climate change. Overfishing depletes fish populations and disrupts food chains. Pollution, such as plastic waste and oil spills, harms marine life and degrades habitats. Climate change causes ocean warming and acidification, affecting coral reefs, fish, and other marine species.
Coral reefs are often mentioned in discussions about marine biodiversity. Why are they so significant?
Coral reefs are incredibly significant because they are among the most diverse and productive ecosystems on Earth. They provide habitats for approximately 25% of all marine species, despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor. Coral reefs also offer important ecosystem services such as coastal protection, food resources, and tourism opportunities. Additionally, they have cultural and recreational value for many communities.
Coral reefs seem crucial. What are some of the efforts to protect them?
Efforts to protect coral reefs include establishing marine protected areas, promoting sustainable fishing practices, and reducing pollution. Restoration projects, such as coral gardening and artificial reefs, aim to rehabilitate damaged reefs. Additionally, addressing climate change through global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is essential for the long-term survival of coral reefs.
Emma, what about other important marine habitats like mangroves and seagrasses?
Emma, mangroves and seagrasses are vital marine habitats that support biodiversity and provide critical ecosystem services. Mangroves, found in coastal areas, act as nurseries for fish and other marine species, protect shorelines from erosion, and sequester carbon. Seagrass meadows, found in shallow waters, support diverse marine life, stabilize sediments, and also sequester carbon. Both habitats are essential for maintaining healthy marine ecosystems and mitigating climate change.
Are there any specific conservation efforts focused on these habitats?
Yes, many conservation efforts focus on protecting and restoring mangroves and seagrasses. For example, the Blue Carbon Initiative promotes the conservation of coastal ecosystems, including mangroves and seagrasses, for their carbon sequestration benefits. Restoration projects involve replanting mangroves and seagrasses in degraded areas, often involving local communities in the process.
Emma, earlier you mentioned overfishing as a threat. How does it impact marine biodiversity?
Overfishing has a profound impact on marine biodiversity. It depletes fish populations, disrupts food webs, and alters ecosystem dynamics. Targeting specific species can lead to the decline of predator and prey populations, affecting the entire ecosystem. Bycatch, the unintentional capture of non-target species, further threatens marine life, including endangered species like sea turtles, sharks, and seabirds.
What are some solutions to address overfishing?
Solutions to address overfishing include implementing sustainable fishing practices, establishing marine protected areas, and enforcing fishing regulations. Sustainable practices, such as catch limits, size restrictions, and selective fishing gear, help ensure fish populations remain healthy. Marine protected areas provide safe havens for marine life to recover and thrive. Consumer choices, such as purchasing sustainably sourced seafood, also play a role in reducing overfishing.
Emma, you mentioned marine protected areas MPRs. How do they benefit marine biodiversity?
Marine protected areas MPARs benefit marine biodiversity by providing safe zones where human activities are restricted or managed. MPARs help conserve critical habitats, protect endangered species, and allow ecosystems to recover from overfishing and other disturbances. Well-managed MPARs can also enhance fish stocks, benefiting surrounding fisheries through the spillover effect, where marine life migrates out of protected areas into adjacent waters.
Can you give an example of a successful MPA?
Yes, the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park in Australia is a successful MPA. It covers a vast area and includes multiple zones with varying levels of protection. The park's management includes measures to control fishing, tourism, and other activities. This comprehensive approach has helped preserve the reef's biodiversity and resilience, making it one of the best-managed marine protected areas in the world.
Emma, international collaboration seems essential for marine conservation. How are countries working together?
International collaboration is crucial for marine conservation because marine ecosystems and species often span multiple countries' jurisdictions. Collaborative efforts include international agreements, such as the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea UNCLOS and the Convention on Biological Diversity CBD. Regional initiatives, like the Coral Triangle Initiative, bring together countries to protect shared marine resources and address common threats.
Can you provide an example of successful international collaboration?
Yes, the Antarctic Treaty System is a successful example. It includes the Convention for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources CCAMLR, which aims to conserve marine life and ecosystems in the Southern Ocean. Member countries work together to establish marine protected areas, manage fisheries, and conduct scientific research. This collaborative approach has helped protect the unique biodiversity of the Antarctic region.
Emma, sustainable tourism seems to be an important factor. How does it contribute to marine conservation?
Sustainable tourism contributes to marine conservation by promoting responsible practices that minimize environmental impact and support local communities. It encourages tourists to respect marine life and habitats, reduces pollution, and generates funding for conservation efforts. Sustainable tourism also raises awareness about the importance of protecting marine biodiversity and can provide economic incentives for conservation.
Are there any examples of successful sustainable tourism initiatives?
Yes, the Galapagos Islands are a notable example. The Galapagos National Park and Marine Reserve implement strict regulations to control tourism activities and protect the island's unique biodiversity. Visitors are guided by trained naturalists, and tourism revenue supports conservation and local communities. This approach has helped maintain the ecological integrity of the Galapagos while providing educational and economic benefits.
Emma, how can citizen science contribute to marine conservation?
Citizen science involves the public in scientific research and data collection, providing valuable contributions to marine conservation. Citizen scientists can help monitor marine life, track environmental changes, and report illegal activities. This data is crucial for understanding and managing marine ecosystems. Citizen science also engages and educates the public, fostering a sense of stewardship and support for conservation efforts.
That's great. Can you give an example of a successful citizen science project?
Certainly. The Reef Check program is a successful citizen science initiative. It trains volunteers to monitor the health of coral reefs around the world. Volunteers collect data on reef conditions, fish populations, and invertebrates, which is then used by scientists and policymakers to inform conservation strategies. Reef Check has helped raise awareness and gather critical information on the status of coral reefs globally.
Emma, what do you think the future holds for marine biodiversity conservation?
The future of marine biodiversity conservation will depend on our ability to address the root causes of biodiversity loss and implement effective conservation strategies. This includes reducing overfishing, pollution, and climate change impacts. Advances in technology, such as improved monitoring tools and restoration techniques, will play a significant role. Additionally, continued international collaboration and community involvement are essential for achieving sustainable marine conservation.
Are there any emerging trends in marine biodiversity conservation?
One emerging trend is the use of marine spatial planning (MSP), which involves managing ocean space to balance ecological, economic, and social objectives. MSP helps reduce conflicts between different ocean uses and promotes sustainable development. Another trend is the expansion of marine protected areas to cover a larger portion of the world's oceans, aiming to protect at least 30% by 2030, as proposed by the Global Ocean Alliance.
Emma, what can individuals do to support marine biodiversity?
Individuals can support marine biodiversity by making sustainable choices and getting involved in conservation efforts. This includes reducing plastic use, supporting sustainable seafood, participating in beach cleanups, and avoiding products made from endangered marine species. Educating oneself and others about the importance of marine conservation and advocating for policies that protect marine ecosystems are also important actions.
Those are practical suggestions. Are there any specific actions related to seafood consumption?
Emma, yes. Choosing sustainably sourced seafood is a significant way to support marine biodiversity. Look for certifications like the Marine Stewardship Council (MSC) label, which indicates that the seafood has been sourced sustainably. Avoiding overfished species and supporting local fisheries that use responsible practices can also make a positive impact.
Emma, we've covered a lot of ground in this episode. What are your final thoughts on the significance of biodiversity in ecosystems?
Biodiversity is the foundation of healthy and resilient ecosystems. It provides essential services, supports human well-being, and enhances the stability of our planet. Protecting biodiversity requires a collective effort from individuals, communities, governments, and organizations. By taking action to conserve biodiversity, we can ensure a sustainable future for all life on Earth.
I couldn't agree more, Emma. Biodiversity is crucial for the health of our planet and the well-being of future generations.
Absolutely, Jack. Let's all do our part to protect and preserve the incredible diversity of life on Earth.
That concludes our extended episode on the significance of biodiversity in ecosystems. We hope you found it educational and inspiring. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the importance of biodiversity and the efforts to protect it. We appreciate your support and encourage you to stay engaged with this critical topic. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, follow us on social media, and visit our website for more learning resources. Your engagement helps us continue to bring you informative and valuable content.
Until next time, this is Emma.
And this is Jack. Goodbye. Bye.
Remember to leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Together, we can learn and make a difference.